As tensions rise in Europe, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has announced a sweeping review of U.S. forces stationed across the continent. This comes at a critical juncture as NATO allies grapple with recent troop withdrawals and growing concerns over defense spending. Let's delve into this story that matters. The Pentagon is launching a 6-month comprehensive review of U.S. military presence in Europe, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth revealed during a meeting of NATO defense ministers. This announcement follows a damning critique of allies who criticized the U.S. campaign against Iran and denied access to bases for operations. The stakes are high as President Trump prepares to attend the upcoming NATO summit. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth made his comments at a NATO defense ministers meeting, shortly after accusing some allies of shameful inaction during the Iran war. Without naming specific countries, he accused them of putting American forces at risk by denying predictable access for overflight missions. This review is part of what Hegseth termed NATO 3.0, an initiative introduced in February to encourage European nations to take primary responsibility for conventional defense. Decision comes amid growing bipartisan concerns on Capitol Hill about recent troop withdrawals from Europe. In May, the Pentagon announced the withdrawal of 5,000 troops from Germany, prompting criticism from lawmakers including Roger Wicker and Mike Rogers. The Senate Armed Services Committee has also introduced a draft version of the National Defense Authorization Act that would require defense officials to submit an assessment before cutting forces below 76,000. This review follows earlier decisions by NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte to increase defense spending in Europe. Estimates from NATO showed a significant rise of nearly 20% in defense spending last year, with some European countries already filling the gaps left by U.S. The Pentagon has also reduced the number of brigade combat teams assigned to Europe. These decisions come at a time when allies are still struggling to meet NATO 2% GDP target for defense spending. Despite Trump's push, many countries have not shown clear plans on how they will reach this goal. The review aims to ensure that European nations take more responsibility for their own security and prepare the alliance for future challenges. Defense Secretary Hegseth emphasized that some allies are still free-riding, failing to meet defense spending targets. He stressed that NATO annual dues contributions would be contingent on other countries meeting their own targets. The review underscores the U.S.'s growing frustration with what it perceives as insufficient cooperation from its European allies. As President Trump prepares for the upcoming NATO summit in Ankara, this review of U.S. forces in Europe is a significant move that reflects deep-seated concerns about the alliance's effectiveness and future direction. The stakes are high, with policymakers and military leaders closely watching how these changes will impact security on the continent.